This player right here was the starting running back of that Tampa Bay Buccaneer team that you had seen, and I customized it. This was a Haiti Repro running back figure, and I took the left leg off and added another leg from a Reginald Rutledge figure to give it the pose that you see here. Just a very subtle change. For this player, I'm going to make it a fullback because I want to bring in another type of figure to be my starting running back for this team. I'm going to set him right here for the meantime. And these are, this is one of the, it's two figures here, but I'm going to use one of them as the as a starting running back to replace that customized Haiti Repro running back here. These figures are from Megawatts, and they come on a sprue, as you can see. Here are the arms and the main body to this figure, and on the other side their arms and the main body. These figures make up two different poses. The arms are in a different position and the legs are in a different position. When you buy these figures, you can buy them pre-assembled. If you contact Megawatts, he can pre-assemble the figures for you, or you can receive them unassembled as you see them here. And in this part of the video, I'm going to show you how I go about putting this figure together. And before I start doing that, I get my hobby file and I file down the nicks and burrs that comes on the plastic. If you ever bought a toy, a plastic toy like an action figure, sometimes there's excessive plastic on the different parts of that toy. And this figure has excessive plastic. And I'm going to take my file and I'm going to smooth out those areas before I begin to separate the figure from the sprue. So I'm going to use, I think I'm going to do this figure right here. This is the, I believe this is the halfback 2 figure, I believe. It's the stiff arming figure. And I'm going to begin to file it down. And I'll start with the arm. So I have my file. I just go along the arm here, in those areas where excessive plastic exists on it. See, I do this because when I go to paint the figure, see, I don't want this excessive plastic to be in the way of my brush. I don't want it to impede my brush from getting to other areas of the figure. See, some figures have what I call a closed configuration, and to paint them sometimes the brush can touch areas of the figure where you don't want the paint to be. And this figure right here that I'm working with, this running back figure, because its arms are really close to its body, it makes it rather difficult to paint certain areas. Like, for example, the chest area. See if we can move in a little closer. See how the knee, see your side view there. See how the knee is up high, close to the shoulder. So when I put that arm in there, that area is going to be kind of tight. So I want as little debris in the way, like the flash that I'm removing from the arms. I don't want those little edges in the way to to impede my brush from getting in there. What I might do, I might paint inside this figure before I put the arm on. I don't know yet. I'll have to see how it's going to turn out when I apply my holes, and I'm going to show you that in momentarily once I'm done filing this figure down. So I got a little bit of excess plastic on the helmet. Especially the helmet, you want to smooth that area out too, because when you paint and you go to paint your symbol on the helmet, or if you decal, you want a smooth surface for your decal. So we file down these little areas here on the figure, smooth things out a bit. This is around the shoulder area. Just the area where I'm going to Dremel my holes to set my arms on the figure. Okay, along the leg here. See, here's where you're going to put your stripes at. Your pant stripes. You don't want anything interfering with your brush. See, here's the leg. Outside the leg, or the side of the thigh, that is, your stripe goes there. So you want a smooth surface there. So all the decalers, all the guys who decal their stripes, they most definitely want a smooth surface. Okay. Well, there's no sense in you guys watching me file this figure down, so I think you've seen enough of this. We're going to move on to the next phase of assembling this figure. I'm now back from filing down my figure. I got everything smoothed out the way I wanted it. There's still plastic dust residuals on this figure. So I want to use my can of air duster here to blow this figure off, to blow off the dust from this figure. Now again, if you got wet figures on your table, you don't want to blow that dust around, because you don't want the dust residuals to get on the wet paint of your figures. So you want to hold that figure away from, you want to blow your figure off away from the wet figures you got. Now these figures here, they're dry, so I really don't have to worry too much about it. But I'm gonna, take the figure out of the frame and blow it off anyway. Okay. Figure has now been dusted, and now I'm ready to separate the different components from the sprue. And I have my my cutter pliers here that I'm going to use. So here I have the arm of the figure. So I want to grab the arm, and you want to hold on to the piece, because when you snap it off, if you don't hold the part that you want, it'll shoot away. It'll flick away from you, and you may lose it. As you can see, for those who are outside the hobby, these pieces are very small. Okay, so I'm going to take my my cutters, and I'm going to snip off the arm of the figure there. I'm going to set that piece right here, and that arm is the left arm. Okay, and we're going to go to the other arm here, right here, and I'm going to do the same thing to it. I'm going to snip it off, and that's the ball carrying arm. That's the right arm there. We're going to set that right there. And now we have the main body of the figure. See? Right here. and it's connected to the sprue at the shoulder. So we want to snip the figure from the sprue. And we got one figure left on there. We're going to work with this guy later. He's going to be on a different team. So we put out the main body of our figure here with his arms. And then this guy, we're going to put him away for a later date. So remember the sanding, remember the filing that I was doing earlier? Well, I may have to do some more because the place where I separated them from, the sprue, there's a little bit of excess plastic there from that. So I got to file down some more a little bit around the shoulder area. Because the way this figure is configured, this area right here, see, these are the shoulder pads. See? You see it on both sides there. Those are the shoulder pads there. So we want to preserve that. We want to smooth it out using our hobby file. See? Okay. Now to mount these arms, you need a Dremel tool because you're going to have to drill holes in the shoulder pads of the figure to get the arms to sit in. Okay? And I'm going to show you that in a moment. So we're going to put our file down, put that over here. Now, here's the Dremel. Here's the figure. Now, this particular running back figure, he's going to be stiff arming using the left hand, and the ball is going to be in the right hand. So the arm is going to be, if you can imagine, here's the front of the figure here. Here's my hand. His hand has to be up like that. So with this arm, I'm going to have to drill a hole about here in the front of the shoulder pad to give a stiff arming appearance. Okay? And for the ball carrying arm, I'm going to have to take my Dremel tool under the shoulder pad here. All right, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to show you. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Get in close here. I want to drill right about there. And I have my smaller drill bit to start the to create the starter hole. And then I'm going to move to a larger drill bit, and that's going to ream out the hole to accommodate the arm. So let me get myself in position here. So I got to be right for the camera, and at the same time I got to be careful not to mess up my piece. So I'm going to start my motor. And you don't need a lot of speed. Okay, you don't need for it to go really fast. And you don't need to stab the figure. Let's see here. We're going to get right on top of the guy here. And we're going to just touch him a little bit until we get going. And we're going to send the tool into the shoulder pad of the figure. Okay. There we go. Let's turn it off. Got a little bit of plastic residuals on our figure. Now remember, this plastic dust right here, if you got wet figures around, this stuff can get in the paint of your figures and ruin your paint job. Okay, so be careful not to have this around wet figures. Also, this is a power machine and it can hurt you. So children, have adult supervision when using a power tool like this. So we're going to set our drill bit off to the side, and let's see if we can get you to see the hole that was created here. Move back a bit. Okay. You see that? See the hole there in the left shoulder? That's where I intend to sit that arm, the stiff arm. So before I go any further, although it's not going to fit, just to give you some idea where that arm is supposed to go, right about there. Okay. So now I'm going to drill the other arm on the underside of this shoulder here. Then we're going to move to our larger drill bit. So I want to set my figure upside down like so I can gain access to the armpit of the figure here. So we have our Dremel. Let's get in position here. This is our smaller drill bit. We're going to use this drill bit to get our starter hole. Remember, you don't want to stab the figure. Just touch it a little bit. Sometimes the drill bit will slip off. But once you get it going, that hole will start to appear in the plastic. Okay, I got my starter hole there. I like what I'm seeing already. More plastic residuals. Set that off to the side there. Let's see if we can capture the hole here. Get in the camera. Okay. Trying to get control of this piece. Okay. So on the underside there, you see where I cut the hole. I dremeled the hole. I start a hole. It's right about there. All right. So now I'm going to remove this drill bit and I'm going to install my thicker drill bit to open up these holes more for our arms to be mounted. I now switched out the drill bit on my Dremel tool. Here's the smaller bit that I use to start the hole on the figure. Here's the larger bit. So we're going to put the smaller bit away. So I'm going to start my motor. Get myself in position. And I'm going to Dremel the stiff arm shoulder. Being very careful. We don't want to stab the figure. And we don't need the motor to be excessively high. Okay. So we're reaming out this hole on the shoulders of the figure. Then we're going to go on the underside and do the same thing. Because I don't have the motor turned all the way up, the bit is slowing down from the friction that it's getting from the plastic. But that's okay. So that way we reduce the chances of making a mistake. We don't want to drill all the way through the figure. We just want to get the surface just enough for the arm and the shoulder of the pieces to connect. Okay. It looks good. Let's turn off our motor. Set that off to the side here. And let's see what we got. Let me get a clamp. Help us show the figure a little bit better here. Now, you see the left shoulder? You see that dimple right there? I'm going to stick the arm in that area. Let's turn them over. And let's see if we can get a look at the underarm. Okay. See the lighting. Okay. See the hole there? That's where I'm going to stick the ball carrying arm. Right here on the armpit. Right under there. And the way I do that, where I mount the arms, but before I even do that, I just want to put the arm in and see how it's gonna turn out. Let's see here. Before I use my glue, I just want to hold it and see how it looks. It's kind of hard to get into the camera here. Well, we'll just go right into using the glue, because the glue that I'm going to use is not a quick drying glue. I like to use this glue stick to put my figures together. See, this glue, it's not like crazy glue. It doesn't dry instantly. It remains soft so that it gives me time to set my piece. And we want to, of course, air dust the figure, because we don't want plastic residuals mixed in with the glue. So we're going to blow it off. All right. So I'm going to take a little bit of my glue stick here. And I'm going to wipe a little bit on the, wipe a little bit of it onto the arm of the figure. Now again, this glue is very soft, so it gives me time to set the body part, the piece, before it dries. There's the arm. Now take a toothpick to remove the residual glue from around the arm and chest area. Now I just may have to Dremel out this hole a little bit more. Let's see if we can get some more glue in here. Okay. I got the arm in somewhat of a decent position, but this is the reason why I use this glue stick, because it gives me a chance to look at the piece and set it. It's very forgiving if I make a mistake. So I want to take some of that glue out of there and move it over to the other hole in the shoulder of the figure. Use a toothpick to get the excess glue out of that area. Because once this glue dries, remember that flash that I filed down? Well, once that glue dries, it becomes like that excess plastic, and then we end up having to either reset the piece or sand or file the piece. There's the stiff arm. Okay? So we're gonna make sure we got all that excess glue out of the way. And maybe push the arm out just a little bit. More away from the face. Okay? So we're going to lay him down for right now. A big paintbrush, this is what it's good for. It's good for sweeping. You want to sweep this excess plastic away from our figure as we work on it. So we don't want those, again, we don't want those plastic residuals around. Put that over there. So now, we have to get this arm, the ball carrying arm, in the other shoulder of our running back figure. So this is the right arm, by the way. I'm going to do it again. And get out my glue stick. And I'm going to rub a little bit of this glue onto the arm, the upper arm of this piece. And I'm going to insert it into the hole that we dremeled out. And you see it coming together. Here's the ball carrying arm, and that's the stiff arm. See? Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to take our toothpick and we're going to take off the excess glue from around that arm. Now again, I use this glue stick because it stays soft long enough for me to be able to set the piece. And it gives me time to clear out some of this excess glue that's on here as a result of mounting the piece. And some of you outside the hobby will say, well, that's a lot of work. Why not just, use the guys as they are when they come out of the bag? Sure, we can do that. But if you want your team to look a certain way, this is the extra mile that you got to go. So now, as you can see, our running back is coming to life. We still got to prime him. But before we do that, these pieces have to be put together. You know, in my early days of playing in a hobby, I used to play with my figures as they came out the bag. You know, and as I matured in the hobby, and as the hobby advanced, I advanced with it. See? This is our running back. That's one of them. And here is another one that I had done earlier. This arm, the right arm, is back, and the left arm is the ball carrying arm. See? And this guy is going to be on a different team also. So once this guy dries, we're going to prime him, and we're going to mount him on his stand that you see right here. We're going to put him on that, and then we're going to start painting the uniform, and then we move to the next phase. So this is how I start my team after a refurbished project. So we refurb, we put the figures back together if they came apart, like these Reginald Rutledge figures you see here. This one you see here. Then we prime them, like this Haley Repro blocker that you see here. Prime it, paint the stand green, and of course, if it's a Reginald Rutledge figure, we mount the figure on another stand. Paint the stand, and then we go into painting the uniform. It takes a while, depending on how much time you want to put into this. But if you want a good looking team, these are the steps you got to take. I'm Mo. Thanks for watching.